Look who's back with us, economic pro and author Carol Roth. Carol, when you saw the Treasury Secretary, it's good to see you, Janet Yellen, repeatedly bowing to the Chinese vice premier in China, what was your reaction? He was not bowing at all.
Yeah, utter disgust. I mean, Americans should be standing up and standing proud, not bowing to anyone, let alone China. And President Xi absolutely loves this because he sees, he smells, he tastes the weakness in this administration. And all he wants to do is show his bloc alliance partners in the BRICS Plus that America is weak on a national stage.
Yeah.
So for him, he now has the perfect photo op to do that.
Show Obama bowing to the Saudi prince. Let's watch this. You see those still shots there. So that's what we wanted to show, too. And the other thing, too, is, Carol, the Treasury Secretary is saying China is blocking the export of minerals needed for computer chips. That's potentially retaliatory. What do you think, Carol?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a really bad spot because China has a lot of key minerals, key components that are used in preparing military devices and whatnot. And so this idea that we are no longer decoupling, but we're diversifying and de-risking, we're in a really hard place that was created by our own doing.
Yeah.
And I don't think, again, showing the weakness really helps the positioning here.
China respects strength. Trump knew that. Trump is touting his economy also. Under Trump, median household income rose to their highest level ever. The poverty rate hit a record low. More Americans were employed than ever before, 160 million. The unemployment rate fell to a 50-year low. So how does that compare to Bidenomics?
Yeah, Bidenomics is a disaster. We may stay out of a technical recession, but what's happening, Liz, is we're seeing personal recessions. We're seeing, as Jerry Willis said at the top of the hour, people who are having to dip into their savings and go into debt in order to keep up with their cost of living. And so if you ask anybody, are they better off today than they were when Biden assumed the presidency, they're going to tell you no. And even though the president doesn't control every aspect of the economy, the things that he has done, from his energy policy to creating the inflation to even wanting more IRS agents, have been a disaster and not supportive of the middle and working class.
How do you want more IRS agents when we're just coming out of pandemic shutdowns that were man-made? How do you put on the American people a massive green energy regulatory bureaucracy when we're just trying to struggle out of pandemic shutdowns that Democrats touted? More and more voters are asking, does Biden think America is that dumb and doesn't get it when he keeps trying to take credit for any good numbers in the economy? It's coming off dramatic lows caused by man-made pandemic shutdowns. Let's watch California Democrat Barbara Lee slam Bidenomics and more White House falsehoods. Watch this.
Job growth and wages have not kept up with the cost of living. People cannot afford to continue to live here because the cost of living is so high.
The American public is not feeling it. Just 34% of Americans approve of Biden's handling of the economy in a recent AP poll that was released at the end of June. And only 20% of voters believe the nation is on the right track, though voters have not felt good about the direction of the country for over a decade. And Biden is trying to persuade voters that the economy is better than they think it is.
Let's not forget, when he walked into the administration, the economy was at a free fall.
Yeah. The price of oil is actually down, not up. This is a war relating to munitions and the running out of that ammunition, and we're low on it. And so what I finally did, took the recommendation of the Defense Department to, not permanently, but to allow for, in this transition period where we get more 155 weapons, these shells for the Ukrainians.
Okay, let's stay on this, Carol. He revealed a military secret that the U.S. is low on munitions. That's why he's giving cluster bombs, which 100 nations have outlawed and banned because they kill civilians. This, by the way, the Biden White House inherited a V-shaped economy. 4% growth, fourth quarter 2020. 33% growth, third quarter 2020, coming out of the lockdowns. And oil prices are at a 9-week high. What are they talking about?
I mean, they're trying to spin it, but Bidenomics equals an economic disaster. And unfortunately, they can try and put a cute wrapper on it and relabel it. But at the end of the day, people know what's happening in their lives and in their bank accounts, Liz. They aren't stupid.
Yeah, so, inflation's at 16%. Real wages are down like almost 24 months straight. We're going to stay on the story. Carol Roth, thank you so much. It's good to see you.
You too.